I would now like to welcome Marian Walsh, Operation Able's President and CEO, and Steve's #1 fan.
Good morning, everyone. How lucky are we to say we knew Steve Currier, that we work with Steve Currier, that we were served by Steve Currier. Steve Currier, as many of you know and were neighbors of, lived in Beverly, Mass. He was very proud of his community, very active in his community, and he received awards from various civic organizations in his community. He was a Renaissance man. He was a complete person. Steve understood who he was, why he was here. He had a full and rich spiritual life, and he wanted to be of service to others. He was a very proud graduate of Northeastern University, where he majored in journalism. And he had a wide and deep career in both journalism and in consulting. He had had high-level management positions in consulting at State Street Consulting for many, many years. He served as a division manager in Atlanta at Macy's. He served in a high-level executive position at Filene's. He also, while serving in a full-time capacity as an executive, he did consulting almost his entire career. He was especially talented at interviewing. He would be retained by private consulting firms to find talent. He also did research on trends, on trend setting. He had a commitment to access to healthcare, especially mental health care. And he volunteered in various capacities at different organizations: emergency medicine, Department of Psychiatry at the Mass General Hospital, where he was honored with a special volunteer award recently. And he came to Operation Able in 2015 as a seasoned professional with a great intellect, very strong social justice values, wanting to serve us. And he came through an organization called Reserve in 2015. After some time, he moved to other areas of Operation Able, and he really found a strong interest in job specialist services. He could take any one of us who was a caterpillar and make us a butterfly. He worked closely with all of the staff at Operation Able and our employers and our outside partners within the city of Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He had a very engaging and disarming manner, and it was never for his own purposes. It was always to help the person he was serving, whether it be a colleague at Operation Able or anyone within our partner community, or especially the students and the clients. Steve died unexpectedly and was preparing to return to Operation Able. And Steve's brother Stuart and I, when we spoke after God called him home, said that they actually had words because Steve was so excited about coming back to Operation Able and felt so strong and healthy. And Stuart thought that perhaps he should rethink that and have more time to himself. And he said, "What I want to do most is come back to Operation Able." In my short time as the president and CEO at Operation Able, it's been a little more than 2 years, and half of that time we have been in remote serving, remote learning, remote connecting. And my first year, Steve was about 15 feet from my office. And how grateful I am for that geography. It's not just important in real estate, it's important in relationships. And I got to see how well Steve worked, how organized he was, how thoughtful, how he had both initiative and could listen. He could be a team player, but he could be a quarterback. So much we wanted to grow the employer advisory committee. We wanted to grow our partners, especially with the senior community in the city of Boston, where our headquarters is, and where there's a large population of seniors who need our services so much. I got to see how well Steve could move around different populations. He could move his agenda. He could accomplish the task. It wasn't just about his being physically present. He had a purpose. He had a goal. He was going to accomplish that goal. I then decided and spoke a lot with Mark Gyurina about redeploying and expanding Mark's role. And we did in many venues. We met with the program managers and the faculty and the staff. We met with everyone in and out of the organization as he widened Steve's role and deployed him in ways where his talent could grow more and more opportunities for others. He loved it, he thrived, and we are so grateful to him. I would say, as a human being who grew a deep connection in a short time to Steve. I am so grateful to him as a new leader at Operation Able for the things he helped me accomplish, for his tone and his tenor, for his support to me and his knowing look, his imagination, his constructive ideas. And I want to thank him too as a person for the great example of a human being he is. He was. And I know he's with us now. In my opinion, Steve Currier saw God in every single person. He connected to that viewpoint. He connected to that person. And he brought out the best in each person. And he did it intentionally, knowingly, gently, and lovingly. We know God is using you and deploying you in heaven and all around the universe to do more of that. You are truly Operation Able. And you are truly the path to our best selves. So I thank you, Steve, on behalf of everyone at Operation Able, our directors who so valued and recognized you and remember well your presentation to them. We also want to recognize and thank everyone at the Employer Advisory Committee who work so well with you to help our clients and our students. We thank all of our partners for working so well with you and unleashing their own talent. And we thank our staff who will speak here this morning. And we thank our students and our clients for trusting Operation Able, working with us at Operation Able, and working so closely to you, with you on their path to employment. I want now to welcome our valued, talented instructor, Bob Chevron, who's also enjoyed a close and beautiful friendship with Steve Currier.
Marian, thank you. What we are going to do is introduce Patty first.
Oh, I apologize, my notes.
No worries.
Okay.
We'll have Patty and we will bring Barb in shortly. Thank you. Patty, welcome.
Thank you. You know, when people are asked to describe Steve, somehow the word gentleman is always there. And not gentle man, though I suspect he was, but the thing is his strength. But it was a kind strength, a compassionate strength, a protective strength. You felt safe around him. When I was growing up, and even now, I sought the trees for strength, their resilience, their presence. They just felt like they were always there, which is why I chose this poem, Maya Angelou, called When Great Trees Fall. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder, lions hunker down, and tall grasses and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their sentences beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and reality bound to them takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent on the nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be, and be better, for they existed. Love you, Steve.
Thank you, Patty. I'd now like to welcome Mark Gyurina.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for attending our memorial for Steve. I was Steve's supervisor for the past 6 years, and as Patty mentioned, you don't find too many gentlemen around anymore, and Steve was a gentleman, kind, caring, generous, gracious. I know it's a cliche, but he'd be the first to give you the shirt off his back. And knowing Steve, he'd come and find out a half hour later whether it fit or not, and whether he could find another one for you. So, you know, that generosity, and also the follow up. I mean, he would offer to call employers, to work with partners, to work with clients, but not only make the offer, but also provide me with the follow-up information to make sure that I knew that things were happening. And him coming in my office was always a joy, letting me know, you know, his latest success with our students, with employers, a new job. Before the employer advisory committee, he would come in and say, Mark, I've got the 4 greatest students. They're going to do a wonderful job. And they did that because he prepared them for that, for their presentations, and so committed to the students, so committed to our employer partners, both on the EAC, the Employer Advisory Committee, and also our network of employers, providing the follow-up and assistance, and helping them, you know, fill their positions, and also getting them to help us out, to volunteer on Fridays, to make presentations to our students, to do practice interviewing, all of those things that make our services so worthwhile, and really incorporate our partners into the delivery of our programs and services. So it wasn't only students and employers and partners, but also staff as well. Steve was the resident expert on insurance and Medicare and healthcare, and was always talking to staff about options for insurance, and providing them with expert guidance. You know, he had a lot of experience in the field working in healthcare, and used that experience to really help all of us, you know, make decisions regarding retirement and healthcare and insurance and all those types of things as well. I remember my wife saying she had an appointment at Mass General, and Steve came into my office and said, Mark, you know, I have the greatest doctor for you. Here's a recommendation. Let me know, you know, how it all works out. Always caring about us, and always making sure that we receive the best advice and the best care, you know, from all of our partners and providers as well. My most recent memory of Steve is him bringing me my lunch from upstairs. Not only me, but he would go upstairs where they have the kitchen and were providing lunch for us, and would bring down 3 or 4 trays of food for staff who were working during the pandemic, letting me know what the menu was going up to ensure that the meals would be ready, and then bringing them down to all of us. So that's my most recent memory of Steve at the office. And even when he was in rehab and at the hospital, he would call me and Mark, and you know, I'm sorry I can't make the employer advisory committee this week. You know, this is what I'd like to see happen. I know it's going to be great. Marilyn and Paul and Patty can all handle it. But just the follow up and the communication and the care, not only for what we were doing and the students were doing, but what Operation Able was doing as well. So as Marian mentioned, from the very beginning, he was volunteering. He was making minimum wage through Reserve, you know, the program for retired executives. And basically that went for his train fare from Beverly to Boston and maybe a bit of a lunch, but he was a volunteer until we hired him a couple of years after that, and has been a valued member of Operation Able staff, and I will, and all of us will miss him dearly. So thank you, Steve, for all your work, and as Marian mentioned, I'm sure you're continuing that work in the future as well. So thank you. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, gentlemen Steve, for all of your hard work. So now I'd like to introduce some comments from some of our partner employers and Boston organizations and volunteers who have worked with Steve both on a professional basis and know him personally as well. So if we can have that tape run now, that would be great. Thank you.
My name is Andrea Burns from the Age Strong Commission and the Age Friendly Boston Initiative. I had the pleasure of working with Steve Currier on our employment guide and the Age Strong at Work workshop series. He was a steadfast and generous partner, greatly enhancing the quality of everything he was involved in. People often contact our office looking for employment, and then I would usually contact Steve. He took the time to consider each person's qualifications and match them with potential employers or the necessary job training. I have seldom met someone who embodied the spirit of public service the way Steve did. He was completely dedicated to helping people with the most important building block of a meaningful and dignified life, employment. I am also personally grateful for his countless hours of assistance and for his friendship. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Steve Currier. Your memory is a blessing. Job well done.
Hello. On behalf of the Bullfinch Temporary Service at Massachusetts General Hospital, I wanted to relay our deepest sympathies to the family, friends, coworkers, and students who have all had a chance to work with Steve Currier. Steve was a special guy from the moment I met him 5 or 6 years ago. You could tell he had a drive and a passion to help the community and the students that he served. A regular down-to-earth guy with a passion for doing good. Steve's smile, quick wit, and kindness will be missed. Again, from all of us at Bullfinch Temporary Service, we're so thankful to have had the opportunity to work with Steve, and please accept our heartfelt condolences. You'll be missed, Steve.
I'm Tricia Griffin-Carty of Griffin-Carty Communications, and I think I met Steve probably about the time he arrived at ABLE 6 years ago. I was a speaker for some of the programs on job search skills, and later he asked me to be a member of the Employer Advisory Committee. And what stood out for me about Steve in both of those endeavors was his absolute commitment to the candidates to help them tell their story on interviews in a concise, clear, and confident manner, that he wanted so much for them to express what they brought to the position, but really what they brought to the table. And I think he impacted a lot of people in that work, and I know I will miss working with him.
Hi, my name's Chad Cotter, the Senior Director of Talent Acquisition at Boston Medical Center. Just to add a few words about Steve, what I'll remember about Steve is how committed he was to the mission and the purpose of ensuring that mature workers are able to gain employment. He was very devoted to everything he did in that purpose. He always had an energy that was limitless about him. And on a personal level, I used to ride the train with Steve a lot. And even in my most tired of mornings, it was always a pleasure to talk to Steve about what he was working on, the next job fair, the next event, the next class he was teaching, in order to prepare workers to re-enter the workforce. So what I'll remember about Steve the most is the energy and ultimate commitment he had to the mission of getting people back to work.
And we'd like to thank our partners. Now I would like to welcome Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. I met Steve about 12 years ago, soon after he retired from his retail career and was starting to move into consulting. And at the time, I worked in one of the career centers, and we worked on his resume. And it was noticeable to me, even at that point and looking back, that for Steve, the resume was going to be ready, but it really was about all of the relationships. And not only did he reinvent himself, but during this entire time that we had known each other, he kept doing that. And that's what he brought to other people. He was always looking forward with optimism, but present at the same time, and seemed to just have this natural ability to know what somebody needed in the moment for either information or support or confidence building. And I remember him offering, as you've heard from many other speakers, just his continual generosity. It was never about him. It was always about what he could give. And he offered to be a guest speaker at workshops I was presenting called Using Age to Your Advantage. And I could see how he just captivated the room, and he just simply told his own story and how that connected for people just so easily. I will miss him. I feel so grateful to have known somebody just so generous. I'd like to share this poem by David White, who is an Irish poet, and it's called Working Together. We shape ourselves to fit this world, and by the world are shaped again. The visible and the invisible working together in common cause to produce the miraculous. I am thinking of the way the intangible air passed at speed round a shaped wing easily holds our weight. So may we, in this life, trust to those elements we have yet to see or imagine, and look for the true shape of our own self by forming it well to the great intangibles about us. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I would now like to welcome Barb Shervin.
Thank you. Steve was a dear and cherished friend, and listening to the comments of all the speakers so far, I just found myself nodding my head. Yes, yes, that's what I saw too. I will truly miss him terribly. But like so many of you have said already, I am lucky that he was part of my life. Very, very lucky. I found this Chinese proverb, which when I read it, said to me, this is the way I feel about Steve. It's short, but it says what I feel. Here we go. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. That is how I see Steve.
Thank you so much, Barb. I would now like to welcome back Marian Walsh. Marian?
Yes, I'm just marinating in the incredible people at Operation Able, our partners, our staff. Everything that each one of you shared was so relevant and important. And I I want to conclude our tribute to Steve Currier in this way. Operation Able is all about the future. We talk, we advance, we secure, often, the path to employment and actual employment. But we all know employment is really about self-actualization. Let each of us, each and every one of us who got to know Steve Currier, really, really remember why we wanted to be with him. What that connection was really and truly about. It was about our promise. It was about our essence. Let us not squander this incredible gift we have in having had a relationship with Steve Currier. Let us not squander it. Let us not bury it. Let us not lose it. Let us grow it. He introduced us every single moment we were in his company to that promise of how beautiful and wonderful and good and important we are. Let us grow it for ourselves individually and for each person that we come in contact. In every space and every place in our life, just like he did. Because it grows life in love, in connection, in community. There is no magic bullet. There's no book we can read, a song we can write. There's no poem. All these things manifested, bring it to our memory. But we had the real deal in Steve Currier. And what Steve did as a human being, we can do too. We can do too. We can do better. And that's why he did it. Not to be the only person who did it, but to show us we have this too, and we do. So let's not make Steve the depository of us connecting with people and seeing how good and beautiful and wonderful they are and how great their future is and can be. Let us do that too. We couldn't have had a better coach because that's our real job in life. And that's why he was the best job specialist. Thank you, everyone.